name is Grace Gilbert.
My name is Cambria Wozniak.
My name is Lindsay Burnell.
I just recently wrapped up a production at the new Niantic Bay Playhouse where I played Wednesday Addams in Niantic, Connecticut. I'm currently in one of our rehearsal theaters. This is primarily where we do music and stuff, but we have a main stage downstairs and it's super up and coming and super cool. My next professional contract is to perform on a Christmas show for the Essex Steam Train in Connecticut. I start rehearsals for that in October, and I am contracted through the rest of the year.
Since graduation, I worked as technical director for the Ivoryton Playhouse in Ivoryton, Connecticut, where there's summer productions, Sound of Music, and Jersey Boys. My full-time position is now Director of Technical Theater, Makerspace Assistant at the Westover School in Middlebury, Connecticut, where I'll be acting as Technical Director, set designer, light designer, and as a theater teacher to my students.
I am a performing artist, choreographer, and instructor. In the past 2 months, I think I've worked for 5 or 6 different companies. Today is actually our first day of rehearsals for Much Ado About Nothing. In a few weeks, I'll be starting as a dance instructor at the Seacoast Repertory Theater and a ballroom dance instructor in Hampton Falls at the Crystal Ballroom Dance Studio. It's such a tight-knit community. Like, your classes aren't 30, 40 people where you're just getting lost in a sea of other people. You get more specific training. You create a real bond with both your classmates and your professors.
Really intimate. Your education is very personalized, a sense of trust academically and human to human with your professors. I mean, you put us in a group chat and we were like, oh my God, what's up? And yeah.
Yeah, to bounce off of that, I just remember this was kind of towards the end of senior year. One of the voice faculty stopped me and we were just kind of talking, and he was talking about what I want to do post-grad, and he was like, oh my gosh, you could totally be a vocal instructor or do things like that. And I was like, I don't know about that. And then Brendan Buckley, who was my voice teacher, popped his head out, oh, you absolutely could. And then more teachers just kept appearing in the hallway. No, Lindsay, you can do it. And I was just sitting there like, oh my gosh, being overwhelmed by the encouragement of every faculty member just coming out all at once to shoot my anxiety down. And you could walk into any office of any faculty member at any time and they would do whatever they can to help you. It's real and it's really nice.
So, a little side note, Plymouth was the last school that I auditioned for. Biggest selling point was walking into the theaters. I walked into Silver and I was like, oh, this is real. I think all of us showed up and we were so used to a little high school stage. Didn't really have much wing space, and you were lucky if you had a pit or like costumes you didn't have to buy yourself or something like that. But the minute that you walk onto that stage and like you see the grid, you see the fire curtain, you see the booth is like way up in the stratosphere, you see the catwalk, everything is just like, so this is what a theater looks like. It was like waking up on Christmas morning. And don't even get me started the first time performing on it. The first time I had performed on that stage was Little Women. It was all just overwhelmingly beautiful and professional and exciting. And it's such a big reason why I have such a fond memory of not just that show, but every show that I've done on that stage.
Much Ado About Nothing was the first show that I saw at PSU. Little did I know that Hanaway would become a space that I became very intimate with. While being a music theater major, I also worked as a stage manager and a technician. Hanaway was kind of my home base. I've spent many hours in Hanaway.
I had this weird sense of just awe walking into the space for the first time, realizing that that was going to be my workspace, my studies for the next years. It gave me such a sense of pride knowing that I was studying to work in spaces like Hanaway. We were so fortunate. I realized going into the professional field how a lot of community and professional theaters don't have half of the facilities and or equipment that we do.
feel like I should note my first debut on the Hanaway stage, which was as the monster under the bed in Addams Family as a first semester freshman. Thank you very much. I was on running crew one day. Checking my email, and I get an email from Matt Kizer, who at this point I had never talked to except for maybe once when I auditioned. And it just said, "Hi, Lindsay. We need someone to dress up like a monster or a dinosaur and fit in a small space. How would you feel about doing that?" And I was like, "I'm down, let's do it." I got to hide under Pugsley's bed and jump out. And I was, in fact, in the curtain call, standing among all these upperclassmen who I was terrified of, taking a bow in my dinosaur mask. That's a really funny way to be introduced to the Hanaway stage.
It is probably my favorite in all of Silver. I love Hanaway. Hanaway is near and dear to my heart. But when I was a freshman, and I was the lighting board operator for Beauty Queen of Lebanon. That was my first ever production there, and I was on crew for it. That spring, I was cast in Spelling Bee, which was also in studio. I spent the entirety of my freshman year in there, and ironic because I have never once performed in any type of round. With my freshman year alone, I got so intrigued by it. You have to have this whole sense of spatial and kinesthetic awareness. Because it's like, oh, you may be cheating out to house left, but that means house right is missing all the action. You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, my junior year. And that still, Kizer, shut up, is like one of my favorite shows that I did at Plymouth. For reference, I was Sally Brown. And apparently I'm in a perpetual state of Sally Brown. And shut up. Because it requires a smaller cast to be in studio as well, you really spend a lot of time with those people, and you really create some of the most chaotic memories and bonds, and it's some of the most prominent memories I have from Plymouth.
One of the first things that got me was I didn't really understand all of the crazy hideouts, nooks, and crannies in that theater. There's this whole under the audience system of tunnels and doors and different entrances. And whoa, this is how you get around? It's a crazy workaround. There's all these hidden doors and passages. The first time I performed in it was for Dance Project, because it was such an intimate piece and it was such a strong piece that I literally got to walk right up to people and make eye contact with them and really connect with them. One of the first performances I did post-grad was in the round. So having that experience of working with a 3/4 audience was really, really beneficial.
Working on sets, you can mask quite a bit of a set piece that you're working on, but people won't be seeing certain angles in spaces like Hanaway. It really just makes you up any carpentry and painting skills that you have. It's a much more intimate experience, and you have so many more viewpoints. It needs to be so much more detailed. And that really helped Onward when it came to attention to detail and audience perspective.
Stanislavski, Meisner,
Chekhov,
Suzuki,
Alexander Technique, and also Feldenkrais, which are more movement-based but have a big part in acting.
Every singer has their strength, and they're going to enhance on that. Classical, contemporary, golden age, 70s, rock. You learn a lot of chamber music.
We have a class, musical theater singing techniques. You have to sing from every single era of every genre in that class over the 4 years. There's not a style that I haven't sung. You have to be able to sing everything. Standardized patient training is something that I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I do, because I personally have severe anxiety of going to doctors and things like that. So I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Like, I'll try it. And I love it. It is so much fun to do.
Being a simulated patient for psychologists, medical department, physical therapy, nursing, and simulating either an illness, a physical injury, a mental illness, and you get all of the details that you might possibly need, and basically being a practice patient for the students in those departments.
Normally you do like a certification program or something like that, but PSU actually offers a minor in it. and you get to work with PSU's physical therapy department, with the nursing department, with the counseling department. We get to do things like disaster drills where big, chaotic, a bomb just went off in the ER. What do you do?
It taught me a new skill set, but more than that, it taught me to be confident in my abilities that I already had. I love Hannah. She was my voice teacher, freshman through senior year, typically the music director for the musicals all year long. Without a doubt, other than my own mother, she is the most maternal and welcoming and warm and supportive people I have ever had the privilege of knowing. She is so intelligent and talented. After my first couple months of working with her, I was a different vocalist than when I arrived. Not only am I a different vocalist from my freshman year, I'm a different person than I was my freshman year. And she is 100% the reason. Time management and practicing and safe singing techniques, vocal care. I found that I have a real knack for vocal pedagogy because of her. She pushed me in that direction, and it's something that I found I have a real passion for. And she has a funny way of doing that with every single student that she interacts with. She does it, but she has this amazing way of bringing out the absolute best of every single student's potential. I gush when I talk about her because she is one of my favorite people on this earth, just unmatched.
She just kind of emerges and is this very warm, comforting, like, oh, let me help you. And then she's gone again. And then she reemerges and is like, oh, let me give you all these things to help you succeed. And then kind of goes off on her way again. She's just always there and is always willing to help if you need it. Very kind and very talented person.
Everybody that works with her seems to love her.
Heather is such a mysterious but amazing person. Just say, let me know if you need anything, and then would disappear again into the shadows. And then if you needed something, she'd reemerge quiet. And she was so precise. I was always questioning. I'm like, oh, I don't know if Heather likes me or not. And then it came to my interview process for my current job. I was curious. I was like, oh, what should I expect? I messaged Heather and was like, oh, she's really busy. And instead, I got this detailed, long email telling me everything I could possibly need to know interviewing in technical theater position as a woman, and was so kind and was like, please reach out to me if you need anything else. The Silver Center is incredibly lucky to have her.
Oh, Jessie!
I got to work with her a lot. I also worked with her as a choreographer, taught a bunch of my classes, and even now I am working for one of her company's Advice to the Players that she's the executive producer of. I've spent a lot of time with Jessie, and she is truly a wonderful human. So she was a really big advocate in taking care of yourself and how to do so while being in a theater industry. It's definitely a person that you could go to if you needed anything, and she would be there for you, hands down, 100%.
She's a fantastic director. Some of the most unique and beautiful visions for shows. So passionate. For any scene and any show, she lays it out for the actors to just feel. She makes our job so easy. I was not scared of many people. Until I was a junior, Tim was a legend. The only show that I got to do with him was Urinetown. I was Penelope Pennywise, and the way that the two of us would just kind of collaborate on the character and turn her into something that neither one of us expected that she would be, and have really good conversation about it. He has this really great balance of the professionalism, but also like, hey, you're doing really great work. I just wanted to let you know. And I would like cry about that for probably 2 hours. He's incredible. Another very visionary person.
Tim is probably one of my favorite directors I've ever worked with. The first time I worked with him was on Curious Incident. He was always a big advocate of like, follow your instincts and I'll pull you back if we need to. You as the actor are in charge of your character. And he's also just like so fun to work with. He's very sarcastic and goofy and just a wonderful human to be around.
He became a lot more of a mentor to me than I ever would have thought.
One of the best teachers, so helpful. He would give it to you how it was and how you needed to hear it. And I'd sit back and go, wow, yeah, he is really right. I can do better. Just him being able to bring that better out of students speaks volumes on him.
Fran's a wonderful person. He brings out everybody's inner child, but also touches some untapped potential. Incredibly collaborative. He wants to hear what the actors have to say about the process, about their character. He's just so fun. He's so knowledgeable. He has a lot of great insight, and he has a huge heart. One of the most comforting, best people ever.
I have him as a teacher and also worked with him a lot for standardized patient training. He's the main coordinator for that. I have had the opportunity to do standardized patient work with him. He's just so amazing. In my senior year, he offered to meet with me, help me go over a resume. He's like, I'll buy you lunch and I'll work on your resume with you and it'll be great. And did we get to my resume in the hour and a half that we sat talking? No, we did not. So down to earth and loving.
Fran is one of those types of people in any kind of situation with any kind of people, be able to conduct themselves so eloquently and so calmly.
Fran's a wonderful person.
All right, now you get to talk about Justin.
There it is.
Justin! He's wonderful. He is insightful and he's so helpful. He is so there for the students, and your time with him, even though it's only 15 or 30 minutes, you get so much done and you feel so productive and so heard. It was always like a breath of fresh air going into my rehearsals with him. He's just a wonderful human inside and out and immensely talented, and we are so lucky to have him.
Justin is one of those people who he's not going to sugarcoat it. If something goes wrong, if you're not doing something right, you're going to know real quick. It's so helpful to have that. No, you're doing this thing wrong, so let's fix it together. This needs to happen, and here's how I'm going to help you do it. Really, really helpful and supportive. And just an awesome pianist to work with, for sure.
When Justin would look at you and say, you did a good job, relax, kid, you're fine, you knew you were fine. I started off as both musical theater performance and theatrical tech and design, and then I switched just over to theatrical tech and design. He always encouraged me, and he always was like, you're doing such a great job. I'm so proud of you. You're rocking it.
So I have a big dance background. When I first came in as a freshman, and I remember emailing her like, hello, Professor Gregoire, and walking in oh my God, and looking around, and everyone was like, Becky, what's up? Oh, okay, maybe this will be all right. And even though I had 15 years of tap under my belt, I still learned so much from her. Such a fun and loving person. If the class came in and everyone was super stressed out, she'd be like, you know what, let's just stretch, let's have a chill day. A very fun human to be around, and I've learned a lot from her.
Becky is like the cool, crazy aunt of MTD. The first day I met her, I'm just like, I don't know what it is, but I want to give her a hug so bad. She does a really good job of getting to know each person individually as a person and as a dancer.
I walked into class my first day. I see Grace, Lindsay, and Mariana, and they're all just professional and so put together and absolutely killing the combo that we're doing. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And Becky came up to me and she was like, hey girl, you doing okay? And I was like, no, I'm not okay. I feel like I don't belong here. And she just reassured me so much that I was capable of doing what anyone else could do. And she was just so comforting, warm. She really is like that crazy aunt that you just always want to be around. Like if you have a fight with your mom, you go to Becky. You know, it's like she was fantastic. I absolutely adore her. I love Danee so incredibly much. The costume shop is like a little hole in the wall. She's just the most warm and welcoming person. She's like that Italian mom that will not let anyone touch her duckling. So many times where I would just be having a bad day and I would need to go and I would just sit in her office and she'd be like, so what's up? Do you want candy? Do we need to commit arson? What's going on here? She'd be like, yeah, life sucks, but you know what? You're gonna get through it. I love that woman so much.
Incredibly talented. All of my costuming experiences in theater was usually things that didn't actually fit me. Here's some safety pins, good luck. And then I walked into Danee's shop, where not only did they take full measurements of everything and talk to you and do multiple fittings, But I also had the amazing pleasure of wearing not one, but two made from scratch costumes. Both she built from the ground up. To have a costume made for you by someone like Danee, could not have asked for a better person.
The two of us very much bonded over my character in Silver Star Voyages, Glebe. There is like a shrine to my space helmet there. I was just this hideous alien stoned mechanic. It was so fun. The contrast from Glebe to my witch costume. She's just like, I feel like after Glebe, you deserve this. She's another mother figure, and she's so kind and welcoming to everyone. You can always count on smiling and laughing when you go into her realm.
Tyler has become one of my really good friends. When I started working in the shop and I needed to ask Tyler a question, I was like, oh, that's the guy that's like really intimidating. I don't know if I want to ask him questions. And I went up and he was just like, yeah, sure. Let me come help you. And then he came and he helped me on the light board and the soundboard during my exit interview process, during my interview process in my current job. He was so insightful. I want the best for you students. I want to see you succeed. I want to help you out.
And I have immense respect for him and his talent, his knowledge, because it's very evident that he is quite good at what he does. And he's very quiet about it. And I have a lot of respect for people like that. Definitely an asset to Silver.
Bob is a kid in a candy store. You cannot change my mind about that because I've seen him in a candy store. He's super fun to be around, but you also get a lot of work done. I came in freshman year taking Stagecraft, like knowing a little bit about shop stuff, power tools, maybe a little bit here and there, but not really knowing anything, to last year being able to go out and work construction on an actual house. I learned and grew so much, and we had a lot of fun doing it.
It was so warm, happy, bubbly all the time. And you got serious work done around him. You know, he would help you and he'd always keep you safe, welcoming and fun and real. If you had something you needed to talk about, he would give it to you like it was, but in the most warm and kind way possible.
So friendly and loud about it. I get excited with power tools. I am stupid with numbers. So encouraging to every single person in that class and establishes relationships. He makes himself a familiar and friendly face for everybody. When I walk into Silver, he is a huge reason that Silver feels like a home. D. Matthew Kizer is the dad. He is probably the most caring and empathetic person in that building. Not to mention his hugely successful career. So many friends that have performed at so many professional theaters that have used his projections and designs. But he cares so much. And he is so invested in making each student's experience memorable and positive. He just finds a way to bond with you.
People at Plymouth State really don't realize how lucky we are to have Matt. There will be so many instances where me now as a theater teacher, I will go to look something up, and 9 times out of 10, his designs, his programs, his work will come up in my search engine. I got to go at USITT convention in St. Louis. The amount of people that came up to his booth and we're like, oh my gosh, Matt Kizer's here? There were so many people that were just gushing over him. And I was like, yeah, he's my mentor. There are days where you look at him and you're like, wow, this man pioneered projections in theater. And then there are other days you see him walk out of his office and you're like, wow, this man is a Muppet. He will never let you know how many tricks he has up his sleeve. He has this little size smirk that he does when you have any question for him, and he will probably have 5 solutions. Having someone like him and having a support system like him meant the world to me, and it still means the world to me. I still speak with him on a regular basis, and I message him about my life like I would a parent.
Same. He's the first person I told about my contract.
When I got my teaching job here, he's up on stage and we have people around him working, and I walked up, Kizer, I got the job. The amount of excitement jumped up and down and was like, I'm so proud of you, and there's nothing that can beat it.
I did not expect to have such a bond, and the bond that I have to Kizer. Freshman year, I'd be like, I don't know about that. Like, I'm music theater. Like, I'm not really going to work with him all that much. I worked as a technician, but like, I was never really into design or anything like that. Now, Kizer is one of my go-to people. There have been multiple times where we've emailed him and been like, hey, we have a question. And he's like, all right, here's a Zoom link, hop on. And we're like, oh, he is the go-to person to pick your brain, just always there to help. Like sometimes he'll just come and sit in the student lounge and just hang out with us. There was one day where I was just ranting. I was like, I have all these things I need to do. I don't know how to make a teaching resume. And he's like, okay, so when do you want to come to my office? We'll sit down and do it together. And I was like, what? And he was like, how does this day at this time sound? And I was like, that would be great. Thank you so much. As I was like at my height of stress. And he's also just like, he's never gonna let you down on yourself. There were many times where I was like, Kizer, I can't do this. Yes, you can. You just did all these things. Okay, what can you do about this? Well, what about this? Well, I guess this. And then it'd be like, oh, okay, so you just said it. You just did it. You already did the thing. I'm pretty sure he told me in my senior year, he was like, anyone would be lucky to work with you and don't you forget it. And I was like, okay, thank you, Kizer. He's someone that'll surprise you and might be intimidating at first, but he is truly a Muppet of many talents.
We love you, Kizer.